Whoa, sorry to hear that, man.
Oh no. Well, it turns into a fighting story because he was diagnosed with the form of brain cancer you can have. It's a stage 4 glioblastoma. He was told he had 4 months to live, and there was no surgery possible. And what actually ended up happening is my sister, his wife, flew up to Sloan Kettering. They had emergency surgery with some of the best neurosurgeons in the world, and that was 2.5 years ago. And today he has still been in remission. You can never actually cure a glioblastoma because the edges of it become so frayed that it's terrible because it can double in size in a week. So when it comes back, it comes back.
That's
but
serious. We
just ran a half marathon together. He was a former Marine. Yeah, he got me into obstacle course racing and actually running. So
that's sick.
Yeah, he's a trooper. He's the toughest
That's where they got
guy.
the walls and you have to go under the ropes and in the mud and all that. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's where it's at.
So
right there.
You say that you are pretty religious, but like I definitely understand. You're pretty much like we're still finding our way and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And when you have something like that,
but that shows you something's going on somewhere in the mix that is proving something positive and more to like maybe that actual figure that people think of.
Absolutely right. Yeah, when you see those type of things happen, you know that it's more than just coincidence. So
yeah, for sure, there's got to be something going on.
So talk about your family though. You're married, right? You got a wife?
I'm a married man.
Nice.
Best year of my life. I met her where I work now, which is awesome. So
cool.
That was awesome because one of the first days I got hired there, she was the director of marketing, so it was her job to go around and take pictures of the new employees, to say, okay, here we're going to put on this big magnet, so on our Jira board we can slap you up there on whatever project you're working on.
Right. Okay.
And I saw this girl, and I immediately thought to myself, I'm going to marry that woman.
Whoa, that's nice, dude. One of those stories. I like it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
It all worked out, and that's an interesting thing because, honestly, that was the coolest I've ever played a situation like that in my life. But I picked up my sister.
Sometimes it be like that, though.
Right? Know? And I started telling people, I said, I'm going to marry that girl, guaranteed. Yeah. And my whole goal was...
You straight through that.
Yes, I saw how phenomenal she is. She's an artist and an incredible graphic designer and director of marketing.
Oh, word. Cool.
That's what's up, man.
I'm the software guy, so she complements my skill set tremendously.
Yeah.
For everybody catching up on Facebook Live, we got Nick Klufas in here, running for City Councilman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And, we need to get out here and vote. We need an early vote because you know how everything goes. It's like... It'll just go by quick. They won't really talk about it. So we need to get out here, all the young people. That's why we're putting this on Facebook, because this is like how we speak to each other.
You're absolutely right.
And we're out here, we're trying to talk to them,
This week, you can early vote anytime between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. at the community center in Palm Coast or the library. And it takes 5 minutes. Anybody who's voted will tell you it's the easiest thing in the world. You go in there, you give them your license, you have a ballot. My race is on the back of the ballot, so flip it over, fill out Nick Klufas, and that's how you do your part to move Palm Coast forward.
All right, and my podcast member right here, EJ Toro,
here we go.
He brought up a valuable point. Can we talk about the fluoride thing? I just need more understanding.
Exactly what I
just need more understanding, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even saying that they're just putting cancer in our water. I'm not going to say that. But I just want to know.
You want me to say it?
Ask what you were
they're putting cancer in the water, okay? No, okay, so with you being in the position that you're in today, Nick, it's like, what is your take? How do you feel about this? I read it in the paper, The Observer, just the other day. Someone who does endorse you as well. No, I'm just playing.
No, they do.
Yeah, no, they do. So, they're talking about putting fluoride in the water out here. Now, I did read specifically how they're going to be doing it in like 2 of the different communities around town. Plantation Bay, I believe, being one of them, and Grand Haven being the other, I believe, correct?
I don't think it's Grand Haven. I think it is Plantation Bay.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 water facilities, but it could also be Grand Haven.
Okay, well, either way, I knew Plantation Bay being one of them. Yes. They're starting with a $150,000 budget with this, and they're doing it because, from what I read, it is good for your teeth.
Yes, and that is...
Now, that's pretty archaic, and, I don't know about you guys, but normally when I flush my mouth out with Listerine, I spit it out. I don't swallow it. So that's kind of... take showers in it. Or feed it to my dog, swim in it, cook with it, all that kind of stuff. What is going on here? Like, what are we doing?
So what we really just saw was actually kind of scary because think about how easily that mindset changed
Yeah.
without really any public intervention or really, did you have your voice heard at all? Did
No,
anybody come and ask
I don't
you?
think
That's what I'm
anybody knew what
saying.
was going on with that. It was just like boom in the paper, and people come to me and they were all, you know, when I mentioned it through some of my networks, they were just like, oh, you know, it's good for your teeth and this and that, and people just being like real superficial at the surface with it and things, and it's like people don't understand, like this, people, is what caused Flint, Michigan's issue.
Yep.
100%. The fluoride strips the iron out of the piping in these older, you know, system units and things like that. That's how you end up getting brown water, is because there's iron in your water.
So
You
after
know,
all
you're
this
not supposed to
time,
drink that.
what made them just like change their mind and decide to do this? Like,
It has to be some corporate
Interjection in there
exactly,
somewhere, right?
push
Somebody
behind
pushing
it,
somebody.
lobbying something.
Well, the bottom line is, since what happened to my brother-in-law, they became so much more health conscious. Like, they literally monitor everything that they put into their bodies because the glioblastomas.
A lot of people are starting to do this these days.
And those cancer cells are fueled by gliomic uptake, which is like sugars and stuff. So they literally,
Of course.
I mean, if JJ is my brother-in-law, he has to burn all the energy out of his body so that the cancer cells can't grow, and that's how he's in like the 1% of, you know. But what that has brought to light is how careful we need to be with everything we put in our body. So I'm totally not okay without, you know, a ton of studies and actual scientific proof that fluoridation into water isn't a bad thing. Because I've also,
I understand.
but I've read a ton of things that's very similar to what happens with aluminum in your brain, because you can't actually clear the fluoride out of your brain after longer times of consumption. But again, I don't know whether or not these studies are 100% backed by anybody or not, but I think we shouldn't be able to do these type of things that have such cascading effects without at least ensuring that we have the public's opinion.
Most definitely. Well, my biggest concern is it's not just even Flint, Michigan. There's these older, you know, cities and counties all over the country that have turned out like this, and apparently, from my knowledge that I've heard, that Cleveland is actually one of the worst. And you're gonna have places like New York and these bigger cities like that turn out to this way soon if they're doing this to those waters as well. And it's like, it's not that the problem is they're gonna run this test for a year. They're gonna go, oh, it's not that bad. They're going to implement it into the Flagler County water. Now, everybody, you know, even this house here, everywhere that you go is going to be in the water. Problem is you're not going to see the effects of that for another 40 years.
It's generational.
It just does not happen overnight. Water chemistry doesn't work that way. It simply takes time.
Yep.
You know,
You're
so
talking to a water expert.
yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I clean pools, but I know water chemistry like the back of my hand. And to get minerals and metals in a pool, you have to add extra chemicals to that to keep those metals suspended so they don't fall out and just stay in a pool. And just think about that. I mean, these metals in a pool fall out and stay in the pool. Think about it in your gut when they fall out, what's going to happen. You know what I mean? It's just all adding to the process. I just, you know, seeing you running for what you're running for, it makes me almost, you know, it makes me smile and be happy about this city, because my thought process like that's still from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and the 70s, and no one's thinking ahead for like the next 20, 30 years instead of still back 20, 30 years. I mean, you're what we need out here, being a voice for the younger generations coming out. So a lot of my friends and shit, we're starting to have kids now and stuff like that, you know, and I mean, I'm sure even you with your wife and things like that. So we really have to start thinking ahead now rather than behind. And I'm saddened by this whole fluoride BS, to be quite honest. I'm not for it. I don't care what anyone's got to say. I personally saw and can see what happens to it in another city. My parents live in Michigan, and they're not far from Flint. So it's just, I'm not for it. I'm just not for it.
I hear you on that. And
that's my spiel.
yeah, no, my wife and I mean, we're even careful to the point where we have carbon filters on our shower heads because,
Word to that.
yeah, I mean, these are the things that they're not going to impact you today, but 20 years from now, you're not going to be able
Hair's
to say
falling out.
exactly.
You're 60.
And guess what? You can't take a pill
My
that
hair's
undoes
falling
20 years.
Yeah,
of
well, you know, I got a
fluoridation
receding
consumption.
hairline too. You know?
That's messed up.
Yeah, thank God, I got that going on up top. That's one thing
Yeah,
I'm
you're
holding on
doing
to.
all right
We're
though,
all
you
right.
know.
You got any kids, man?
Nope, no kids. I have a 3-year-old nephew, and
That's
he's
what's up.
coming down at the end of the week, which will be awesome. I'm a huge fan of him. He's a ton of fun, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Hopefully soon.
I feel you. You want any kids?
Yeah, I love kids, and I totally crush the 0 to 8-year-old demographic.
Yeah.
They're not the best voters. But they love me.
They love you. I feel you
Well,
on
that's
that
good.
one, man.
Definitely looking for the future, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, in your free time, what do you like to do, man? Like,
So I'm totally active in the community, like sports, and so I love to play basketball.
we heard you could hoop a little bit.
Oh man,
earlier.
I'm a rim wrecker.
Oh, okay,
I throw it
yeah.
down.
Oh.
I saw
Your name's at the park. Your name's
yeah,
at the park.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't want come my way.
He
Don't
said he
make
knows
MJ
me.
come
Yeah, I seen you at the park before, man.
Yeah, I go out there, I put my Klufas shirt on, I throw down some dunks for parents. It looks good.
Yeah.
Your mom signed the permission slip. You know, dunking over 8-year-olds.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
No, that's what's up.
Anything else that I really like to do is based around technology, but all my time lately has been consumed with the political process.
I
But
hear you on that.
endurance running is another big thing of mine. I did the Keys 100, was a 100-mile relay race from mile zero marker to 100 in the Florida Keys.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yes.
So how many
Did
miles
you
was that
say-
again?
We did mine was 20.7. I did
What?
Yep.
Whoa. You heard of the Bigfoot Marathon?
I have not. Have you heard about the Ocean's 50 that's going to be in Flagler Beach?
No.
It's a 50-mile relay. There's 5 people.
Whoa.
50
Swimming?
miles?
Yep. Nope. It's running, but it's all through Flagler Beach and everything.
Oh, word.
We are defending our title. The team I'm on, we won last year.
Oh.
So
Is
I
Chris
see
Ewart
that's
on your
that.
team?
Chris Ewart is not on our team.
Oh. Oh my God, we beefing with Chris?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, we're defending our
Not on our
title.
team.
Oh, so you're defended, so you got the title last
Two
year.
have the
Yeah.
belt. Yeah.
Dang.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
No, that's cool. Well, the Bigfoot 200 is this thing I heard about. I mean, I'm probably never gonna do this, but you got to run. It's 200 miles in
Not with that attitude, you're not.
72 hours.
I have heard about that. Yeah.
Hey, you know what kind of
You said
shit gotta do
72
for
miles?
that? It's 200 miles in 72 hours.
That's like 3 days. You're gonna be up for 3
You just
days?
straight run.
Yeah, a lot of the
And
time.
you're up and down in the mountains. It's not just like a Florida run where it's just straight land. You're up and down. So
That's
the altitude's
crazy.
changing. Everything's constantly changing on you.
That's crazy,
That's
man.
a lifestyle to train for that.
Yeah, no, most definitely, most definitely. I mean, they got a documentary out on it and things like that.
Yep.
It's just out of control.
Frack offshore out here in
Oh,
Atlantic.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I was from upstate New York where they were starting to frack, and the whole fracking situation felt very similar to, kind of a political hood that gets pulled over. All of a sudden, you're fracking out of nowhere, and
Yeah,
Every-
like we were
Hey,
just doing that a couple months
I got a
ago for like
question.
no reason.
I don't even know what fracking is.
so it's a way to extract oil out of different compositions that traditionally you wouldn't drill from. So it's not like a well, but what they do is they replace the oil with water. So they hydro pump in water into bedrock, and then the oil gets forced out. But the problem is that, from what I understand, and gotta take it with a grain of salt because I'm not a geologist, but the oil actually, you can't contain all of it, so it enters all other bodies of water.
So wherever it can
Yeah.
basically spew out, it's
Yep,
it's
exactly.
We
going.
have a serious
Yeah.
marine habitat out here.
Yeah.
And that's
You seen what happens to the Great
Can they hear
Barrier
you?
Reef though?
no,
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of
it's like
Right?
95%
It's bleached
destruction.
out right now because of all the BS going in the water and whatnot.
Yeah, and think about
That's crazy.
ExxonMobil with their deep well that,
Gulf.
exactly right.
And it keeps on
Yeah.
spilling. Like, yo, what's going on, man?
Yeah,
Well, it's so deep down, it's hard to start patching that stuff up once
causes
it starts
earthquakes,
going
too.
out. Yeah, and they don't know how much they got. It's like this, like in a pool. If the pool's on and you're trying to like put one of the returns on the wall, you got all this pressure coming out, and it's real hard to patch that. It'll always keep blowing off. So they got to wait till that's basically the pressure lowers enough to where they can contain the patch. And by that time, I mean, you're talking millions of gallons or some exponential amount of gallons have already poured out. I mean,
yeah,
out of control with that stuff. Too.
ensuring that
Ruining
you can
the
actually
system, the sea
like
system.
cover one of those wells before you drill it is very important.
Yeah.
That's something where it seems like, oh no, it's exploded and now we can't cap it.
Yeah.
What are we going to do now? That's not the time when you want to try to think about solutions. Those are the things you need to have in place.
Exactly. I know they can't really hear me, but that is an indication if we have to kind of like, I don't want to use the word rape, but pillage the earth in that type of way. It's time for alternatives. It's 2016.
yeah,
Let's
definitely.
be real. We don't have to go that extra mile.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
The crazy part is, like, I was talking to people and we were talking about like cattle farming and stuff like that, and I'm not cool with that. It's just like, yo, what are we gonna do? Like, there's like millions of people here. There's not millions of chickens. Like, if we were gonna go all natural, we would kill every animal that's already here. You know what I mean? Like,
So how do you feel about this cattle farming stuff that goes on? Do you ever look into that or
I
check
do.
it?
A lot of the runoff and stuff that's really detrimental to the environments and stuff.
Yeah.
Family.
So again, talking with my brother-in-law, my sister, those are things that are ultimately always on the top of their list because not necessarily is that something that someone will warn you about because they're not saying, hey, this is dangerous, this is dangerous, but 10 years down the line, all of a sudden when you have sick kids,
Yeah.
it's, oh, hey, it's because you were living next to a cattle farm and they had all this runoff from all the fertilizer and food that they were
Yeah, they like
eating.
spray it in the air at some of these because the small mist they can like dissipate the the pools of this large cess that they have on the side, basically, like that stuff's gnarly.
And you create supercell amoebas and stuff, and you get
Yeah,
one of those
yeah,
up your nose
no,
and you die.
definitely.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, you don't want any of that at all, for sure. So like,
viewers.
what? Oh.
Since you were watching live.
Oh, word, good for
Yeah.
that. Hell yeah, that's what
But
we need.
so do you like eat beef? You eat pork, turkey, chicken?
As
Gotta
much
keep up
as-
with it
yeah,
somehow.
As much as my wife will let me. So, yes.
Yeah.
She is, like, by the grace of God's, trying to save me at every turn with what I eat.
I hear you,
So
man. Hey, that's good, man.
it is, and I'm totally thankful for it, and I've really tried to be as supportive as possible of it, because now, like, I don't necessarily always eat for enjoyment, but I eat because I know it's good for me.
I hear you,
So,
man.
Sometimes it's
And
like
you're
that.
running like 200 miles and stuff like that.
yeah, so you got to be able to
I'm
put
saying.
up.
No, he wasn't doing the big
No,
one.
I-
That'd be
You
gnarly.
got the flash over here and
Yeah.
stuff like
He
that.
was talking about 30 miles. That's enough.
Yo,
yeah,
that's
fire
crazy.
by 10, no thanks.
Yeah.
That's what's up. But so did you like go to school to become the engineer? Like, was it
Yeah.
a trade school or?
So, upstate New York, I graduated high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that with the Regents diploma, which isn't too big of a deal. But
Right.
then I come down here, and Daytona State College, real close to where
Mhm.
I was living with my parents at the time, and I
Right.
said, awesome. So I started taking classes there. I finished up my AA, and
Right.
then the same year I finished my AA, UCF started their 4-year electrical engineering program that
Nice.
paired with DSC.
Nice.
So I enrolled in that, and then my job options were really in Orlando or Jacksonville. And then all of a sudden, by the grace of God, I find ACI that's in Palm Coast, and here we are. It really is a fortunate situation.
Meant to be.
Yes, but the thing is, I was also working on computers when I was 15 years old, programming things.
Right.
One of the first things I built was a MySpace friend adder. You remember those spam messages you would get on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You,
That's you?
you coded one?
Yeah.
You're
sick.
Tom?
Yeah, no.
You're Tom.
No one
What?
can find Tom right now.
Yeah.
He's on an island
They got off
chilling.
the face, man.
Tom actually ended up sending me an email in the beginning.
Nice.
That's
Oh,
how
word.
scary it was.
Dang, my boy's a hacker.
Yeah, I created one of the first MySpace Autobot friend adders.
Wow.
Crazy,
Oh,
man.
whoa.
That's sick, man. That's like a good accomplishment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
well,
sure.
Type of stuff we need, y'all. I'm
Totally.
telling you.
Yeah.
Interesting guys like yourselves were totally the clientele that I would go for. I'd say,
Yeah.
you know, hey, it would be sweet if you had 5,000 more friends, because on MySpace, couldn't get friends like you could on Facebook.
Yeah.
You have like 100 friends.
You had to actually
You had
know
their
the
friends,
person.
their friends, and like.
You weren't on my top 8. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they didn't know you either.
They
It
made
was
a top
over.
32. I was like, it's over.
Yeah. You go on someone's
People
like,
got
top
mad. I'm not in your
58.
top 8.
Yeah, hell
yeah.
yeah.
It started. I'm not Tom. You can't make everybody happy, man.
Yeah.
So like
He
comedians.
kept the same picture too the whole time.
Yes. When he cashed out too, I'm sure he had the same smile on.
Yeah.
It still is.
Did you monetize that code?
Exactly right. Yeah, so I thought to myself, I was 15 at the time, I said, okay, comedians, bands, they are all interested in trying to have a way to have way more exposure. I ended up trying to sell that code for $500 for the application, and the next morning I woke up and I had sold like 13 or 14 of them. And it
Whoa.
totally blew my mind, because
Nice.
in my basement in New York, I was able to reach people all over the world, and what actually enabled me to do that was the technology of, you know, a computer and the internet.
Most
My
definitely.
boy's out here getting it in
Yeah,
on
that's
the
right.
computer tip.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I've pretty much squandered all of that money on playing paintball and growing up and having
Hey,
fun.
man.
No,
but
for
You
sure.
know,
It prepared me for the future. So
You was
I
balling when
feel
all your
you,
other
man.
friends
We-
didn't know
we
what
all
the hell
had
was
that
going
time.
on.
Yes.
They
We
were
all
like,
at
"Where's
that
this guy
time had a
getting
little bit
money
of
from?"
extra money in our pocket, a little young,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,
and that was during summer break. It felt
You
really
gotta
good. The taste of being successful with a little piece of software really fired me up to say, holy cow, this is how you can really have a multiplier effect with what you build.
Yeah, and it's
Definitely
you
Kim.com.
Yeah.
You know
future.
what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly right.
we
And,
went crazy with that.
it's like, this is the kind of stuff that I want to know from the candidates running. Not because, you know, they always try and make it seem like they're perfect.
Yep.
And then there's
Oh,
like
boy.
smear campaigns. It's like, look, man,
Yeah.
I messed up. We all messed up. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm still going to vote for you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, not
Yeah.
like you did anything crazy, but
Yeah.
That stuff's going on right now with the mailers. There's a ton of negative mailers going around with the sheriff and stuff. Those races are really, since there's so many candidates, it's smear tactics, but also, you know, trying to pout yourself up a little bit to be perfect. It's hard because when somebody starts to go negative, it's hard to respond without going negative, but sometimes you have to take the higher road.
Yeah, no, most definitely. That's pretty wild for sure.
appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to get this together,
No
man.
technical
Yeah,
difficulties.
you wanna talk
No
directly?
technical
Kinda
difficulties.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, so I'll bring something up too. Crazy that happened out here because like I've actually seen this guy before. But man, you seen what happened with this jeweler out here?
Yeah,
What in the hell is this guy doing?
I know. I read about
Clearly
that.
we
on
know what
Flag
he's
Alot.
doing, but
What happened?
Jesus, dude, the jeweler that was local out here, he had a spot in the Staples Plaza. My entire life, the guy had a jeweler spot out there. But there's the Chinese joint that's next door, and I guess he was like dating the lady. And there's allegations that came about all this different stuff. Well, he just got convicted of raping the 14-year-old girl, and he got 25 years, and he's 65. So the guy's definitely dying in prison, you know? I mean,
if he's
go
raping a
for
little
it,
girl,
you
he
know what I'm
definitely
saying?
deserves to.
100%.
He's a total predator because there's a lot of talk that he'd been accused of something before too.
Yeah, I said in Putnam County.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that they don't know whether or not he's started to date this mom because he was targeting the child,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
like
Jesus.
a million times worse because that is so screwed up.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
methodical. It's completely thought out
Yes.
process. Sociopath to the extreme.
and then he tried to cover it up. He tried to convince the girl that it was her fault, and that's
Yeah.
you can never undo that from that poor soul.
No,
you know?
hell no,
Nice.
definitely not. But that's out of control too, you know. But so yeah, another thing I wanted to bring up too, just to see your point, being like a young person, and if we can't really speak, you know, we have Volusia County has decriminalized marijuana. So what's going on out here in Flagler County? You got any say on that?
So
I know, real quick too. I know a couple of the sheriffs are for decriminalizing marijuana as well for like petty activity.
Absolutely, and what they're trying to talk about now, instituting, is something that's in counties that surround us.
Yeah.
And basically, what it is a one-time kind of way to not have someone arrested when they're caught with a smaller amount of marijuana.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because there's a little bit of kind of public debate, and I think that goes along with the demographic that lives in Palm Coast.
Most definitely.
And if you compare
Along
it
with the
to
fluoride as well.
yeah, exactly right. But,
We're still in 1945 out here sometimes.
Yeah, and the terrible thing is, if we don't have an option for a police officer to exhibit discretion when he's issuing a ticket that could potentially ruin a young man's life or a woman's life, then we really need to look at ourselves as a society and say,
Oh, for sure.
is this one little blunder in this person's life enough to, say you're going to have to fill out on a job application for the rest of your life that you're a felon? And the way that the diversion program works, from everything that I've read and understand, is that it's not like it's a get out of jail free card. You still have to go through a diversion program, and you're drug tested, and you come out, and your second time you wouldn't be as fortunate. But giving a person that one opportunity to make the right decisions, if you get caught up in one bad spot for something that silly, and you have your life for the rest of your life, that I think everybody agrees that's not right, right?
Most definitely. I mean, even to the extent of like you could just simply get pulled over for running a stop sign or something. You were trying to rush somewhere, and then a cop pulls you over, and then there it goes. The whole thing just unrolls, and a lot of people have been put in that position already, and now they have a misdemeanor or even a felony charge to some extent, all because they had basically a personal amount on them. And, cop just wanted to use, the ticket that he has and run it. And it's not fair. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair, and a lot of people out there would definitely back that as well. But it's quite interesting how they've done it in Volusia County, and yet it's still such a mix-up out here. Once again, why we can't have what should just happen. I mean, Washington,
One
D.C.
question as
is
well.
legal.
What is
you
your
know?
opinion on like the case studies that we have? We have actual studies in
Yeah.
states where we have stimulus to school systems based on a cash crop that is thousands of
Yeah.
years old.
Totally.
I mean,
But
how
the
could
Supreme
how
Court
could they
doesn't
possibly?
see that.
Well, the DEA, but how could
Yeah,
they
the
possibly
DEA,
argue
yeah,
these
excuse me.
things?
When you have
When-
hard data.
Hard data.
Yeah. And even at a more basic level than that, because I think, especially with the demographics that we're talking about here, you're going to run into people who have a hard moral line on that it's wrong.
For sure.
So a better way that I always try to approach it is look at the economics of the impact that these tickets and felonies versus one another have on the area. So a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's the people who get caught up with silly misdemeanor marijuana amounts that this usually is targeting. So if you remove them from the economic pool, our tax base of Palm Coast, what type of detrimental impacts does that have to our city? Don't make it a moral decision. Make it, hey, are we hurting ourselves by trying to, take this law to the absolute maximum? And
It's a great way to look at it.
and it's
Yeah, it
you
was.
can look at it monetarily like that, and that's a much easier argument to make to say, hey, it's just not working.
Yeah,
And
most
I mean, you can
definitely.
even go to the health aspect as well. Like,
Right.
there's so many things in pro favor, and you don't even have to be gung-ho about the plant. It's just a matter of you can't deny the statistics that we now have in 2016 and moving on.
As well as even the statistics on the pharmaceutical industry these days as well. People overlook that all the time. You see stuff on Facebook and things like that, and they're talking about the killings on guns and stuff like that. I'm sorry, but F that BS straight up. Reason being is because the number right on top of that's got another 1,000 more killings is pharmaceutical drugs, and no one's worried about that.
Or the legal
you know?
alcohol.
Or any of that as well. I mean, that kills people just as many numbers, if not way more than even guns do. You know, I mean, there's no recorded death on marijuana. We all know this. You know, but
And just to clear it up for like the people at home, who? Because you know, like okay, Orlando, like Fort Lauderdale, Daytona, they're all like decriminalized, you know, or of some sort.
Yeah.
Who gets to make that decision? Who in Flagler County said, "Nah, we're not going to do that"?
So it has to be a joint effort between the sheriff and the city council / mayor. And
so
right
we need
now,
man-free again. That's what we're saying.
yeah,
right?
Manfrey actually, he is for
that's
it.
what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
You're
I think
absolutely
we
right.
need man-free, right?
And he really took a charge on ensuring that it didn't die because it was very close to just totally being thrown out. But he has been an advocate for that, and I think that probably is because he has seen the actual implications of what these changes could do.
For sure. He's probably sick of writing up bullshit-ass things all the time in there about people that have 2 grams or a joint they got pulled over with because they happen to be young kids and stuff. And it's like, that kind of stuff takes up time, resources, efforts, money, taxpayers' money, the whole nine. You're wasting everybody's time with that kind of stuff. All for something that you really could have just thrown on the floor. The cop could have wiped his foot over it, ruined it on the ground, and then just told these guys they could just drive off.
Yeah,
you
or
know?
if they're younger, you take them home to their parents,
Or
you
so,
tell them,
there you go.
you
Even
let
that,
them handle.
that as well, if they're a
So
minor.
your
For
child
sure.
has grass in his pocket.
Yeah, yeah, like literally, you know, it's like
I
grab the
guarantee
flower on the
you,
way out. And
geez,
put
if
it in,
my
you know?
parents, had me delivered in a cop car, they would have whooped me up absolutely. And
Right.
Yeah, your mindset would have changed on that for the
exactly.
time, for
Real
sure,
quick.
100%.
I'll revisit that grass maybe when I'm an adult.
right, but
Yeah.
again, with Sheriff Manfrey, he's also a family man, so it'd be really hard for me to be in a sheriff's position and arrest someone that I know is my child's age. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, wow, if my kid was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time,
Most definitely.
these are the same things that could be happening to him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's where Obama should look as well, as far as his daughter smoking marijuana out. In
I heard about that. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah,
That was
you know, like
poor judgment on our part.
it was definitely poor judgment. But at the same time, even to that extent, they should look at it like, how do I feel about this? Because your kids can get caught up in the same situation just like anybody else, and then bing bang boom, now it's all over the net. And I mean, with someone like that, high profile, I mean, it's quickness, and people see what's going on out there.
Yeah, and that's something that technology also enables. I think Will Smith said it. He said, when I was young, I was stupid, but I was stupid to myself. Nowadays, with cell phones and everything, I can be stupid, and 1,000,000 people can see me do it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and with this, type of scenario we're in, where people are recording her because they were just waiting for something to happen.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, of course.
They weren't
So-
even following the concert, just waiting for her to
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. People were just recording.
She
just
was
to
the
simply
concert.
say,
She
"Look
should've
who I
got paid
seen
to
at
be
the
there."
Concert, you know? I mean, she was like pulling her dress up and everything. She was doing all kinds of nonsense out there.
Hey man, young girls be young girls, dude.
Yeah,
Like she
for
wasn't
sure.
doing too
And
much
I'm
out
sure
there.
she wants 8 years of her life has been
Yeah.
spent in that type of.
Oh, for
Oh
sure.
my gosh.
Like a
She
lot-
feels like she's on her way out now.
Of
Oh,
course,
exactly.
of
Like,
course.
not
And she's
being a
growing
human
up.
being.
She's cool. I don't think she went across the
I don't
line.
think
No,
so
I don't think
either.
she crossed no
It's
lines.
just a
I
time
mean,
and a place.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. It just didn't have to be at a major concert, but nevertheless.
But I don't think it could be at home either, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
White House
Well,
law.
whoa. What? But it's legal in Washington
That's
D.C.
not
So
true.
I mean, she could kind of smoke legally.
Possibly.
You
Yeah.
know? Well, no, she can smoke legally. What are we talking about?
She doesn't have a job.
You know what I'm saying? She got mad money.
Michelle
Probably got a
Obama's
car.
banging on the door, the locked oval.
Yeah, most
Like, what are you
definitely.
doing
How
in
many
there?
rooms in that place? I'm sure she could find a spot.
Right. So you say you play basketball. What's your favorite basketball team?
Oh man, so I'm gonna sound like a glory writer, but I'm a Golden State Warrior fan. I have been since Corey Maggette, so
Okay.
Wow,
he's,
yeah.
he's naming some throwbacks.
That's these
there,
guys.
some
Yeah,
throwbacks.
I don't
They
need that
know this
guy.
talk.
I want to go around everybody who I see Golden State with Steph Curry jerseys on, just rip them off and say, "You weren't there."
You are with him shooting in the
Yes,
gym.
For
exactly.
real.
So,
No, damn.
but yeah, I'm a huge Hoops fan. So I've got favorite players. I like LaMarcus Aldridge too. I think he's pretty much you can build a team around him. He's fundamental.
Hey,
But,
on like Facebook, you look kind of short, but bro, you're like 6'3", 6'4".
Yes.
Yeah,
so
you're tall as hell.
Yeah.
I'm
This
also
dude's
really
funny.
short,
Can
though.
you dunk?
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, he's
Yeah.
out here dunking on people at the park.
Exactly. That
Then
has
I'll go
got
and
me
write it.
votes.
That's
Seriously,
right.
it got me votes. They go, "You're that guy who dunked, right?" I said, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
You
Most
gotta talk
definitely.
to my wife though. It makes my head get so much bigger.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
gotta be hard to
funny.
live
Hey,
with.
it's the competitiveness. You
Yeah,
know,
man,
that's
we're
what it
trying
is.
to do a non-profit organization, do a 3-on-3 basketball tournament and stuff. And we're gonna have like a 3-point competition, like a dunk competition. That'd be tight to have the city councilman in the
Hell
dunk
yeah.
competition.
Yeah, most definitely.
Exactly right.
You
Yeah,
know?
that'd be tough with the current city council to get them in there. But,
Yeah.
I want you to
some
do
of
it in the
guys-
suit though.
oh yeah, I'm in. I get
That's
some
tight.
Air Jordan dress shoes.
Nice.
Yeah. Jeez, man. that's
What
too
about
much.
football?
So I
How you
never.
looking on that? Yeah.
I'm a closet Dolphins fan.
Oh,
So
dude, right here,
I
man. Give me
hear
some.
Boo.
Yeah, I know, man.
Boo.
They just got their ass
Alright,
whooped
it's
the other
okay,
day.
though.
20, what was it, 41-14?
14-41. Yep, it was
something, man.
a palindrome. It was. The
And then
same
y'all
words
got in a whole bunch
backwards.
of fights. Like some fans got in the fight.
No,
and so-
Landry got slammed to the ground, one of them, and he got up, dude. And homeboy from the Cowboys was surrounded by Dolphins. He was about to get that Miami 305 whoop ass. You best believe we all seen what happens. The helmets come off, boy, and shit pop off.
Yeah,
You know?
Miami
How do
versus
you guys
FIU.
feel about the traumatic injuries that these guys take? If you look at like the top level
The
NFL,
concussions and things.
man, those guys are such athletes.
Wow, yeah. I mean, it's
Um,
definitely true. Like, they call it the CTE. I forget I don't know how to pronounce the actual breakdown of it, but it's like basically what they're finding out now in these guys with the concussions. And I mean, it's gnarly. It's there. I mean, I played contact sports my whole life. I'm not saying I've experienced any brain trauma right now from my knowledge, but I'll tell you that a couple years after I stopped playing contact sports, my back started feeling real screwy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you can't tell me my body's correct as if someone who played contact sports.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
And you know what it's like to be running with 100% intensity and try to crush the other
Oh,
person.
100%.
I mean, you could be literally going 20 miles an hour and 20 miles an hour, and that impact, you can't do that too many times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
for
get
sure.
paid the big bucks to take those hits, though.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
the other thing they do. I mean, this is my thing. You know, they're trying to take the violence out of football and things like that. I never thought it was really a violent sport. It's a collision sport.
Yes.
I mean, I grew up in it, and I grew up how to hit properly and things like that. And if you have, you know, people from PAL leagues, you know, minor under feeder leagues and things like that, to high school leagues, you know, middle school leagues actually, to then to high school leagues, then to college and NFL, if you have coaches teaching these fundamentals properly on how to hit, you actually can definitely reduce the amount that are coming, you know, into these different organizations as far as the concussions and things like that. But yeah, it's screwy. What really hit home for me was when Dave Mira actually passed away like a couple of months ago, because I got pictures when I met him at Galactic Skate Tour back in like 05, and I have his signature and everything, and it was crazy because he, you know, self-inflicted wound, and they're talking that it was definitely because his brain was just straight soup in there from all the impacts of falling 20, 30 feet on the ground from a bike and stuff like that. I mean, even with the full face helmet on, the brain's still moving. We all know that.
Right. Yeah, I
But-
played football in high school and college and stuff like that, and I would definitely say like, man, like 70% of the time I hit somebody else, you'd feel some kind of head trauma, some kind of
Oh, for
shaking,
sure.
like
Tell me you
straight
haven't-
up every single
You've
hit.
hit people before where you blink and you walk away and it's like black things all
Definitely,
over the
it's
place.
like
and
you make
got
like
hit?
yeah,
make-
yeah, you know,
you make
it's
like-
like,
you make
and you
like
got to
a-
get back on the line.
yeah, you make like a clean hit, and then like everybody's slapping you, happy and stuff like that.
You get
know?
hit in the back of the
Even-
head. You
even
know, they're
more
like,
hits to the head
boom.
and stuff like that. And then it's just like,
Man, you hit me, there's going to be 3 hits. You hitting me clean, me hitting the ground, and then the ambulance hitting 90 on the way to hospital.
Yeah.
man, it's just crazy. But at the same time, I'd let my kid play football. I know a lot of people are like, no, I wouldn't let my
No,
kid
100%.
play.
If my child
like-
would like to play one day, they're going to.
Yeah.
I'm not. So this is the thing. Then we get into this whole. Okay, what are we going to do then? We're going to keep this participation award bullshit going? Because I'm telling you, that's not how you want to raise kids on fundamentals, thinking that you can lose and still get rewarded. Because in the real world, we know damn well straight, you lose, you're out. It's
Right.
simple.
It's true.
You don't still get a part-time job if you don't get the interview. If you don't get the interview, you're gone. You got to
Right.
find another company to go to.
And what you're talking about is motivation for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
The thing is, sports in general, I mean, are tremendous players in a person's life growing up. We're all athletic here, so
100%.
we've had coaches who have made impacts in our life that still resonate today. The winning together as a team, the losing together as a team. I
Yeah.
mean, these are
That's
experiences.
even bigger. I
Yeah.
think the losing
Absolutely.
is definitely bigger than the winning because
That's real.
you learn from that.
Especially
you know?
team sports.
No,
I mean,
that's the most important thing is camaraderie through the teamwork.
It
Yes.
has to be.
Yep.
That goes with you through life.
Yep.
And you encounter people that haven't had that team interaction, and you're like,
Yep.
what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
And you can't
yeah.
get anything done. Exactly.
Yeah.
in team play, another huge thing is when you have a terrible play to get up and you do not remember that play
Yeah.
going forward. It's like,
Exactly.
all right, we made a mistake, but we need to do as best as we can at this next attempt at whatever we're
Right.
doing. And
Yeah.
those are the type of things where if you look at athletes who have been successful in business, it's really hones true because they can manage a
Yeah.
team situation.
The next play is the most important.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And
For
you
sure.
find leaders in team sports like that. It just happens. It's really hard for a coach to say, okay, this kid is the captain. A real king doesn't have to call himself the king. You know? I
Right.
mean, it just kind of shows. And I think sports, we don't want to get away from removing them from schools because of
No,
the impacts and
definitely
stuff. But we need to make sure that too many kids today don't necessarily have an environment where they need to work in teams. And
No,
that's how
definitely.
you're successful.
It's definitely a big problem. I mean, just 110%. That's a huge problem out here. I mean,
Yeah,
all over the place.
Shout out to Coach Ripley, Mr. Robert Ripley. You know, he's been a longtime friend and mentor of mine since like I can remember like 6th grade, middle school, high school, everything. He was a coach of mine, and now he's the head coach at Matanzas. And they went to the playoffs last year for the first time, I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's just balling out there as a coach.
That's
But
weird, though.
I saw this thing in the newspaper, and it said that they're gonna have this new program to where they can like track and see if the players are getting concussions by how
Yeah.
hard their helmet's been
They have,
getting
like,
hit.
lights on them, right?
And
Yes.
like I don't know, but that's gonna be crazy. That's gonna be a whole new. Because literally, what I don't think I'm not saying that he doesn't understand because he played football, but like the first play game, everybody's gonna be out because you really get that many concussions.
Well, like-
I'm trying to kill the person on the other side of the team. So yeah, if
Well-
I've gotten a concussion the very first play, like I hit
Yeah.
the running back. In
You're
the
the
backfield.
reason that I'm fast. To
Right.
get to stay away from you. That's
Most
that's
def,
what
dude,
my
'cause
role in
I'm
sports
definitely
is.
trying
Yeah.
to kill the other person.
I felt that.
Well, like I'm saying though, but that type of technology right there, I feel is complete false. I mean, it could work to an extent, but I'm gonna tell you right now, the hit that you're gonna take to the hit that I can take might be totally different.
True.
And now you're
I
gonna
like
have
it.
now what?
I like the helmet idea.
No, it's a good idea.
It's a good
But I'm
idea.
saying like here. I go and clean this kid, and he has the ball, and I clean him, and then coach, hey, you got to come over here now, man. Your helmet went off, and I'm like, coach, what the hell, man?
I'm
Like,
straight.
I'm totally cool.
Like,
I
I'm-
just, it was a clean
like,
hit.
I'm
What are you
poor.
talking about?
I'm poor and I'm from the hood,
know, like-
and this is my only way to make it. I'm a running back. I'm balling. I hit and my helmet goes off, but I'm straight.
Or you get
But
hit
now-
and you
now I
literally
gotta
like,
stay
fine,
out,
like,
and
coach
now
could-
the
they
recruiters
could
don't
check
get to
you
see
out.
me. And
Well, one of the other things is they start to have devices now where if you had a hit that was a tremendous impact and it would send off the lights, they can actually have a little clamp that goes at the base of your brainstem, and what that does is it limits the blood flow into your brain because what happens with a concussion is essentially you're rattling your brain
Yeah.
inside of the fluid, and then it swells a little bit. So it could be the difference could be not that kids are getting pulled off the field too often, but it's those one or two huge hits that if they can deploy a device to limit the amount of brain damage or trauma, that maybe it would be the greater good. And maybe
I
you're
feel
right. Like at the lower levels, this is where it happens. Like modified football, pee-wee football.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have people get hurt. I mean, I played 8 years of contact sports before even going into high school and then played 4 years of lacrosse there. I'm telling you, I've experienced hits and taken hits, but I've never had a concussion to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's another thing as well. But
I've definitely been
Yeah,
concussed.
I've
no, it's
more than 3 times.
it's definitely possible.
if you
It
heard
really
ringing in
is.
your ears, that's like you had a concussion.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I've never been diagnosed with a concussion from anybody, and I've played contact sports that many years.
Oh,
and
I've never been
I
diagnosed either.
Yeah, well, I'm saying,
I have been.
at the end of the day, though, I mean, I've definitely had to sit out because my back was so stiff I couldn't walk for the game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I knew when injuries were happening, but I don't know. I just worry about that whole thing. I don't want it to take away from the sports because we're so worried about this. This is what these people sign up for. You know, then you can get into MMA fighting where they talk a lot about that kind of stuff.
You like
and it's
MMA?
like,
I don't like to participate in MMA, but those are tremendous athletes again, and this is what's pushing the whole, like, people get hurt more and more severely because the only way that, if you and I are equal intellectually on the basketball court and we can see the same plays everybody else does, the only way for you to be better than me is to work harder and be a better athlete, and that's what's happening at the top level of these sports. You have guys who are stallions, able to
Yeah.
kill one another. So, I mean, NFL players are not the same NFL player that was existed in 1980. These
True.
guys are
Like grown.
exactly. Yes, they're on. I mean, they're grown men.
EKFC and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hormones, all that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy we take all this time and think about the concussions that a football player gets, but what about these guys getting blown up in war? We ain't worried about their little one-piece fitted helmet that's on top of their head.
That's
I mean,
true.
straight up, though.
That's
you
true.
know what I'm saying? How come they don't got nothing trying to help them with the blast and shit? They're coming back screwed up, these people.
They should wear like football
you know?
helmets in the war.
No,
Honestly.
they probably just shouldn't be in these conflicts.
No, most definitely. I mean, there's
Possible
110,000
solution.
ways we could keep people out of these different conflicts like that. But again, it all reverts back to money and then politics
And technology too,
you know,
because
who's got the bigger house.
if you have
you know?
something that can actually keep these guys safe, it'll probably be driven by technology. I mean, if you drive over an IED and it explodes, maybe the future is where somehow there's a
There's just not
bubble.
going to be people in it.
Yeah, not
You know.
that, or that you can deploy a system inside the vehicle so fast that it actually takes the impact. But right now, I mean, the Hummer goes flying and it's terrible.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
The
knew a
solution to
guy
that
that
right
got
now
blown
is
up in
drones.
one.
Yeah, drones or
Yeah.
more plates on Hummers that aren't designed for it. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
Drones
they
are
just-
crazy though, cause like it's gonna be drone against drone, so who's gonna retreat? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, they don't have the
Not to mention
they don't have
the
the
civilian
technology
count.
for the drone over
Yeah.
there.
That's the issue.
They're
the
not going
civilian
to.
casualties.
That is the problem is the civilian casualties. So like, how's your take on this? You know, since I know we can't talk too much on it or go one way or the other, but what's your feeling on this political debate going on right now with the presidential election?
the presidential election is an interesting thing because I always
It
tell
really is,
people
though.
we have 300 million people in America, and these are the two guys.
350.
Yeah, these are the two
Yeah,
people that we
Doc
put
Martin.
up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they're
And-
not the two people. We have Jill Stein. We have
That's
Libertarian
true.
Gary Johnson. Let's
Absolutely.
not count them out.
That is absolutely true. And libertarian is interesting because, you know, they really are trying to liberate the people from the government,
Right.
and that's a hard sell for people right now, especially people
I
who
feel-
see the systems in
right.
place.
I feel what you're saying, and it's not really that like these are the more or less just like these are the only two people that social media, or not even social media, but like regular media is
Well, they're covering.
yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they
Like they're
stopped
putting them
covering
in
a
the
lot of these
newspapers.
other people when they were
And
running,
that's
like,
another
especially
reason
for the
why
Republican side.
like we had this idea for the podcast because you know it's kind of like becoming your own business. You don't need the middleman. You know how rappers can use YouTube now and stuff like that. You don't really need a label.
You don't
Like
have to worry about getting signed right off. rip.
no offense to like Daytona News Journal or anything like that, but we don't even need them. Like, you know, I called up my boy, you know, Nick, and I was like, hey, come through. Let's do an interview. Let's find out about you. You know what I mean? Like, and they really only put in there what they kind of want to put in there. And like, we could do that too, but how people can comment on Facebook Live and stuff, just let us
They're
know.
commenting, too.
Yeah, let us know who you want me to bring in here. I'm gonna contact them. You know what I mean? Like I said, Ripley, I'm talking to. I got a couple other people that we're trying to bring on the show. My boy EJ got some people that he's trying to bring on the show.
Or the questions you want to ask, too. If anybody else out there has questions that
Yeah.
they want to hear from a potential city council guy, let me know.
Right. If you guys have any questions, anything you want to hear, let us know. We're live on here, and pretty much we just want to reach out to the community and bring us closer together because that's really what Facebook is doing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's not even
get-
like
you
after
get a
high
much better
school.
feel having an actual interaction because the newspapers and stuff, you're still reading it.
Right,
If I write
yeah.
words in there, you're reading my words through your voice the
Right.
way you want to read it.
Right.
So that's limited.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Same
here
thing,
we are.
it's the same concept with text messaging. It's like the
Yep.
person reading it is like how you
Right.
For sure.
kind of always kind of.
So back to the whole political thing though. So how you feeling about that?
I think we're in a point right now where there's so many people that are upset and they want to see change.
Mhm.
And I think I'm personally benefiting from that because there's a lot of people who are upset with the system and they
Yeah.
want fresh views and a fresh perspective and a new voice. And I get a lot of that. I've been out in the neighborhoods knocking on doors and people
Yeah.
say, hey, you're out here knocking on my door. You're the only guy who's been here to knock on my door, introduce himself. So I'm going to vote for you because I want someone who's hungry and who's going to
Right.
actually go
Well,
out
it
there.
starts
and
at
get it.
this level
So I
as
can
well.
say
Exactly.
Yeah.
Legitimately, you
Yeah.
are actually are the change.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
are
You
the
had a
change.
commercial on Facebook. I didn't even see these other two people had it. Like, how do you even get a
I
vote?
couldn't even
Right.
tell
How do
you
you
what
get a
they
vote?
look
All
like
it is
at
is a
all.
name
like,
on a piece of
yeah.
Upper politics is so convoluted with lobbyists.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
yes. As
It's
you get
just-
higher up, that is the big time problem. And the thing is exactly what you're saying is that how do these people get elected? Because in the primary, these are the decisions that we make. We decide who's going to be on city council and who's going to be the mayor. And those 11,000 people aren't the people who are usually on Facebook who go out there and vote. These are the people who are into politics and they have their agendas and they want to go there and get their people put into the positions. And the way that we can proliferate change is by encouraging everybody to get out there and vote in the primary, because the decisions are made if you get 50% of the vote plus one. So we may not even be on the ballot when you're filling out whether it's Trump or Hillary. The thing is, if we don't get out there and vote now, then you don't get that decision. And if these people are put into place who are part of the system, this change will never happen.
Right.
Yeah. Now, do you actually think there's room for actual change in the system, or what? Because I do a lot of research throughout the internet, and I read a lot of things. And I'll be honest, from what I've come to my conclusion and what I've been finding out is that at the end of the day, Hillary is the next heir to the throne. Trump has nothing to do with this whatsoever. So if you follow history back, I mean, you'll see he's got nothing to do with it. So that's where I become very worried and kind of follow on that line of like, well, how the hell would my vote matter? Because if you really do look through the history of it, I mean, Hillary is the one who gets the throne.
Right.
next.
You are absolutely right, and that's something that happens at the national
And I don't
level.
want that, by the way. I'm not saying that, like, yeah, Hillary, let's go Hillary. No, like, I'm not for her whatsoever. I'm just saying the
That's the
facts
way
of
the
going,
playbook has
yeah,
been
that's
followed.
what I'm saying. Like, that's the next play in these people's
Yeah.
agendas.
And I think we see it with both sides. I think we see it on the Hillary side with the super delegates and the regular delegates and whose voice is actually being heard. And it's such a coordinated nationwide effort to break a system like we have with the two parties. But at a local level, we have the opportunity to do that.
Well, that's where it definitely starts.
Yes, for sure. And getting the fresh perspective at the local level is really, really important, because it is, I totally admit, hard to have a single vote in the national level impact your community or your city of Palm Coast.
It's most likely not going to happen.
Exactly.
You need the whole community to
Yes.
come about at least.
Well, it's just like laying bricks. One person lays one down. Like,
Most
yeah,
definitely.
so one kind of does matter. Everybody's
Yeah.
one.
Sure,
We
but
can't
you're
really-
aligning with the beliefs of really one party or another party.
I feel you.
But
There's so many different points of views. It's hard
Yes.
for everybody because when you force us into a box,
it's so hard.
You know
You
what I
either
mean?
agree fully with one side or with the other.
right? And I
That's
don't
hard.
feel that way.
I'm the same way.
Can I ask you a political question that's kind of
Absolutely.
veering off?
Sure.
What do you think about an anonymous, a WikiLeaks, or like an Edward Snowden? Evening the score.
Yes. So, as far as a Snowden or a WikiLeaks and being in technology, I mean, if those things aren't brought to light, there will never be any consequences for the things that they're documenting. And that is really what technology has given us, is a way to anonymously whistleblow, quote unquote anonymous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's anonymous to where Julian Assange now has to live on a little
Or-
4x4 parcel of land.
And Snowden as well.
Yes,
Yeah, both
Snowden
of
or
them.
Bradley Manning,
Yeah.
who that is a terrible story, because now he's actually a woman, and it's, God, they totally
Wait, you said he's a woman now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a woman now.
yeah.
So he went to the whole transgender thing?
They changed his sex in prison, and
Holy shit.
that is his
So
Wait a
is
second.
he in a guy prison or a girl prison?
Whoa.
no, he's like in a Guantanamo prison.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on. So
Hold on.
hold on real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off. You're telling me that they have this guy in prison and they basically like sodomized this dude, cut his junk off, and did
That's
all,
what our
like,
that's what our tax dollars
They
are
said-
paying
they
for.
like it was against his will.
No, they said it was his choice. He
Okay.
requested it, but
Okay, but it was done through the prison system. Like
But
a
we gotta pay
Guantanamo.
for that now. That's stupid.
yeah, but I mean, they kept this guy in solitary confinement for if there
So
were
they drove him crazy.
literally.
Because I mean, it's definitely like a psychological disorder. In
And
my
I
book.
think it's a shame, man. Like, these people
Yeah.
are heroes, and
Wow,
I know a lot of
that's
people don't
crazy.
feel
I
that
didn't
way.
hear about that particular one.
But they
That's
are. They're
crazy.
even in the score. I mean,
Yeah, my boy Josh Salmon says fact check that one.
Seriously, yeah, throw it up on the PC.
Oh, we're
Nice.
about to
Good
fact check.
feedback, guys.
yes.
Hey, by the way, to D Bowens, he said, "Where'd I get my hat from?" And I just went to Savannah, Georgia yesterday.
Here we go.
Chill, my
yeah,
guy.
Chelsea Manning,
his
that's her
new
name now.
His new name is Chelsea Manning.
yeah, I keep hearing that.
Holy
That would confuse
shit.
me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was the same
Fact check.
person.
I thought we were talking about football.
And I'm telling you, the reason. Oh man, that picture's damning.
That's
Shout out
not
to
real.
my
That
girl
can't be real.
Carissa. We
Wait,
just went to
what's that?
Savannah
That's a sketch.
yesterday. We back.
Yeah, that's not
yeah,
real.
it's a sketch.
Holy
Because they probably
shit.
don't have a photo of him
Because he's
getting
in
locked up.
Guantanamo. Exactly. Yeah, brutal.
So fact check. What happened? It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
Chelsea Manning.
Yep, they
Oh
changed his name
my
to Chelsea
God.
Manning.
Actually, I
Changed his name to
googled
Chelsea
Bradley
Manning.
Manning. Chelsea
So
Elizabeth
they drove
Manning.
this guy fucking
Even
insane.
switched his middle name to Elizabeth. Hey, that's cool though, man. If that's what you want to do, but my thing is not on my dollar.
What?
I don't know.
Not
Don't,
on-
Don't
But,
don't
dude,
wait.
I don't think that's what he wanted or she wanted to do.
Oh, I feel what you're
They
saying.
drove this person to pure insanity. Like, dude, this is not normal.
Well, and now they've actually like completely made everything he's done seem like it's a big joke. Almost.
Yeah, like light deprivation, man. That kind of shit right there would drive you insane after 72 hours.
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrible.
What the hell? Oh my
But,
god.
In the political landscape, I guess is a yes or no question, yeah or nay. Is this a necessary thing, that the whistleblower, is that a necessary element in 2016 politics?
Absolutely. Having a whistleblower type element is 100% necessary. Now,
I feel that.
the real problem is that the whistleblowing isn't always anonymous, and that becomes a really big problem, specifically in situations like Bradley Manning, where you try to be a whistleblower and then you end up getting super duper punished. It happened in the financial sector too.
Well,
with-
these other guys aren't getting punished because they work for the Russians.
yeah,
And when you work for Russia, you got Putin on your back.
Lucifer.
yeah.
I like Russia. Just throw that out there. I'm
No,
not
they're
saying nobody
fucking
does.
gangsters. At the end of the day, I'm just saying they don't give a fuck out there.
Yeah, they pretty
Excuse
much
all the
do.
language, but they just don't.
Yeah, they pretty much just like run things. I feel like kind of how to be survival, and they're huge, man. They got so much land.
They have a ton of land, but that's also they have a lot of tundra, which is like
Yeah, a
untraversable.
lot of it's over
Hey,
snow. I
your
mean,
last name's Klufas. Is
Yes.
that Greek or
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian? That's what's
So
up.
it's somewhat of a tie to that region.
Yep, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now Ukraine isn't the biggest fan of Russia, but I'm
Well, they're like a proxy
American.
kind of right now.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
born in New York. Yeah.
I hear you. Which is, he's like, I drink beer.
Yeah.
I don't drink beer, but I'm still American.
I hear you.
I shoot bottle rockets.
Nice, dude.
So then, let me ask you this though, real quick, on this whole whistleblower guys. These guys, what do you think about this thing when they're saying Julian Assange has Hillary Clinton's deleted emails?
So Julian Assange has become like this really weird political figure that I don't necessarily think
Because
is
they could just kill this guy off if they wanted to.
that, but also now he has the opportunity to choose what he actually releases, and that's very dangerous, right? So
You're already seeing that in his rhetoric and his interviews.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's
well,
taking a stance now.
he's
Yeah.
knowing he has power
yes,
over these people because of him and his associates that he works with. Because like when they were talking about how he might have the 30,000, I think it was the 10 or 30,000 deleted emails.
Yep, 30.
Where they were like, oh well, it was somebody in his group. He wasn't saying it was actually him. And it's like, well, somebody that's associated with him. It's like, so you got people working for you. I mean,
Yeah.
and who the hell are they? And where are they? And who knows what they know? I mean, that's out of control. I mean, I'm kind of for it because back to like research that I do and things like that. There's a lot of phony things and funny things that go on with these politicians out here. That if people knew about it, they wouldn't be electing people like Newark Gingrich, and we're not going to get into all that. But these guys are sick fucking people. At the end of the day, like they really just
There's
are.
a lot of money involved in politics,
Yeah.
but the thing with whistleblowing is when you move away from 100% transparency and you try to put your own spin on it, it's no longer whistleblowing, and the problem is that people still
You're
follow
politics.
like it's
Yeah,
whistleblowing.
you're like creating. I see what you're saying.
It's hard.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you want to be an anonymous leaker of data, it should just be presented, and then the people are given the opportunity to make their own discretion.
Right.
Maybe they put him in that type of position, but
Yeah.
they ostracized him. I don't necessarily feel like I need to be heard. I'm sorry.
Nah, you're good,
It's
dude.
all good.
I just want
Yeah,
to.
I just want to make sure it gets heard.
Hey, for those of y'all just catching in, we got our boy Nick Klufas over here
City Council.
running for City Council. Hey, let's check what's on.
Yeah.
Let's check what's. Show me his shirt.
Oh yeah, this is fresh.
Nick Klufas,
This is
vote for
fresh.
City Council District 3.
Yep, Klufas2016.com. I built that in a day.
Unify city and
I
county
built that in a
government.
day.
Focus on deliberate growth and maintain a high quality of life.
Yes.
Klufas, dang, you got some fine print down
Oh,
there.
that's the disclaimer.
Oh,
That's the disclaimer.
That's some fine print, man.
The important thing is that it's there.
No, hey, that is important, man. My
Yes.
boy's about his business, dude.
Absolutely right.
I don't know
You
what it
don't
said down
That's
there.
a great
But,
interview.
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, thanks, man. You guys have asked some really great questions. I mean, it's really intriguing to see that this type of demographic, including me, is that we're actually getting involved in our local political scene. Because really, to be honest, if we don't, then it's going to be another generation, another 4-year term of pretty much nothing that we are looking for to move Palm Coast forward being implemented.
Right. And back to Ronnie's point. My bad for cutting you off. It's
No,
just
you're
we got some new viewers and stuff. Want to catch them up. Eric Snowden stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Eric Snowden was watching. I was like, oh man.
Jesus.
I personally, I had mixed feelings about Snowden, but I love Snowden, especially the work he's doing now. I don't know if you've seen what he's done with Vice recently.
Yeah.
And the type of
with
devices
the
he's starting to
phones
come
he's
out
doing.
with
Yeah.
to further back, like, listen, this is not a game. Like, I'm in this for the long haul.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
He broke down you seen that where he broke down the whole cell phone?
Yeah, people
Well,
thought he was
showed a live hack.
crazy.
Yeah.
People thought he was crazy when he said, "Put your phones in the refrigerator. I won't talk to you."
Yeah.
So that's a real thing. I mean, people don't understand the actual like when you have
Yeah,
technology and a
that's a
cell
good
phone like
tactic.
this, you think you're private, but you're not.
Yeah, hell no.
And the government is very good at technology. I mean, that's
Yeah, I'm on
how they
Facebook
make
Live.
money.
They're watching too right now.
Snowden's developed a case.
Yep.
And I really want to know how we get our hands on that. And I want to know what the mass production behind that, or if we can even get it in America.
Right. Yeah, I think the main thing would be to try to stay off the list where they're individually targeting
Yeah.
you to turn your phone on, because at that point, man, if you have a government agency trying to find out anything about you, God, no thank you.
Well, I mean, they
Yeah,
can do
well-
that. They can do that at will.
Totally. I'm trying to
Yeah,
stay
I
under the
mean,
radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still kind of hard for us to do that because I mean, I remember like a couple of years ago they had that whole thing that they were trying to do, where not trying to, well, maybe they were trying to do it, I don't know, but they had come out about it where they were gonna try and basically inject you with like this tiny little piece of rice thing that was like a
Oh,
GPS.
FRID chip?
Yeah, I
Mark
have
of
seen.
the Beast?
Yeah, the mark of the beast. That's what I heard it was
Remote
called.
frequency
Yeah.
identifier device.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, everybody's got these smartphones now with 10 different
Yeah,
networks
I
on
was
them.
thinking
and
we
it's
already
the
got the
same
chip.
thing. Like,
Well, it's
We just hold on to
social
it instead of it
engineering.
being
Yeah.
something.
Because you have the device, you're
Yeah.
on a device, and you cop the iWatch, which is the
Yeah.
beginning of the same
Yeah.
exact
you know what I'm
device.
saying?
You select when you put it on. Next, it's just
Right.
going to be in your arm.
Yeah, for sure.
But if we also look at like technology as being an enabler, I mean, one day maybe that watch will tell you, "Hey, you're about to have a heart attack, and
Yeah.
I'm going to call 911."
Most definitely.
That's
and
sick.
that's what, like, I'm for
Exactly,
technology
that's
100%.
exactly,
yeah.
The problem with technology, though, is when you allow these governments to get involved to the
Yes.
point where they tell you, "Oh, we're not holding any information, this or that," and then you get a dude like Snowden comes out and goes, "Hey, my man, here's all the information of your metadata that they've been holding," and you're like, "Well, what's this for?" And they're like, "Just in case, you know, you like blow up a church or something, you know, we have it." And it's like, well, what the hell's that all mean?
Well-
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know what it means, but it's just like, you shouldn't have that, because before the cell phones got big, you didn't know what was going on. You didn't know anything. And you've just taken advantage of their opportunity, which is name of the game. I mean, it's just what it is. But I'm not for it, but I'm for it at the same time, because I mean, I like technology.
But everyone's victim of even those people in high places still
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
No,
you know,
100%. They
they're
can't get away
vulnerable.
from it.
They are. And the name of the game in encryption and being in technology, I see this, is governments at this point in time are really trying to get backdoor access into encryption methods.
Yeah.
And that is really, really, really a slippery slope, because you cannot allow a backdoor through an encryption to only one person. When you create that backdoor, it becomes exploitable by
Oh, they're talking about the Apple thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. When
But
they
they-
were trying to unlock the San Bernardino phone.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you give the government a skeleton key so that they can
Yeah.
unlock any iPhone, the problem is that if another hacker figures out how you implemented that backdoor, all of a sudden they can potentially
Build their own.
yes use
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
exploitation.
Well, they already came out that the FBI hired an Israeli coding
Yes.
software company that cracked it.
And that was an incredible
Yeah.
process. They actually so I followed
Well,
that.
John
a little bit.
McAfee was saying he could crack
Exactly.
it.
That's who's
Yeah.
Yeah,
get out of them.
He said he could do it in 3 weeks if they would get their shit together.
Yeah, and
You
really
know?
what you do
I
is
mean, and that wasn't even the whole time he needed.
Yeah.
That's just what he was being safe about.
they just literally duplicate the identification device, so when you log in, you know you hit your PIN code,
Yeah.
and what they do is they short it out before it returns a bad fingerprint or whatever code you have.
Oh,
'Cause
wow.
after 5 turns, it locks up your phone.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because technology is going to be an enabler, but it's also something
Hey,
you got to be questioning.
Speaking of technology, let's get to the thing. I'm gonna say this could be like your thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What's up with the fiber net
Oh,
thing?
man.
Like I read about it. I don't want to seem like uneducated about it, so it's pretty much
No.
just gonna give like signal to everybody, but it's also gonna be. Is it gonna cut out like Bright House routers and everything like
Sure.
that? Like
So this is a very important subject, and it's something that not a lot of people in Palm Coast know about. So in 2006, we made a $2.5 million investment from taxpayers. We paid this.
big money.
Big money. We laid 50 miles of fiber optic cable throughout the
This
city.
is when AT&T brought this stuff in.
Yep, and the story is a little bit more interesting than that, because then in 2007, what happened was lobbyists on behalf of AT&T and Cox Communication went to Washington, And they successfully lobbied for laws in 20 states that prohibited cities like Palm Coast selling internet access directly to residents and businesses. So what they mandated was that a third-party ISP like Bright House had to sit in between cities and the end user because they claimed that Palm Coast would be too good at selling internet access and be anti-competitive to Bright House, so Bright House wouldn't be able to compete fairly. But really, that's just effective lobbying. They went there with their checkbook and it worked.
Yeah.
But in 2015, the FCC eliminated these laws that were suppressing our ability to do this. And really, this could actually be a huge game changer for the local economy of Palm Coast. And I'm really glad that you brought it up because this is potentially how we change our whole landscape. And the bottom line is that if you have an incredibly fast municipal broadband, which is high-speed internet, so like 1 gigabyte up and 1 gigabyte down for $50 a month, what you actually draw are people who are into technology. I can't, like, if I wanted to work from home, it's very difficult because I have the speed stinks. Like, if
It's
you
super expensive out here.
super expensive.
It's like $200 a month.
Yeah,
Like
for
dumb
City
shit.
Marketplace, where they really have a lot of vacancy, to get a 5
A
megabyte,
lot of vacancy.
they do.
Yeah, everything's open over there to the Q note.
A 5 megabyte connection up is $400 a month.
Whoa.
Yes, for a business. So a small tech company is very, very hard pressed to say we should move to Palm Coast because we're not going to be able to have an actual development environment with a 5 megabyte up connection that costs us $400 a month. So Palm Coast is beautiful, but it's just not an option. And the company I work for came from Michigan because Michigan is Michigan and Palm Coast is Palm Coast. But if we want to try to maximize those technology companies coming to Palm Coast, then we need to focus on providing this infrastructure that's going to enable them to be successful.
Wow,
Plus,
for
we'll
sure.
get
John.
super fast internet for residents and businesses that's cheap. So the revenues go to the city, and that creates awesome potential because then we can take that money to our bottom line budget. And if there's one thing that I know this sounds like it's all hopes and dreams, but Chattanooga, Tennessee is a perfect example of this. They have a municipal broadband utility just like we do. And they sell it directly to the residents. And over the last 3 years, they brought in 5,000 tech jobs that are for people who don't actually, they live in the city, but their jobs aren't in the city. So they telecommute. They just work from home.
Yeah, they just have cheap internet, but it's
Yes.
good cheap internet,
The best.
so it works out for them.
And
They
these are
catch
the
a break
people.
somewhere.
Yeah, they have careers that pay between $75,000 and $100,000, and they contribute to the tax base. And that's the way that you would want to grow by bringing in, because that's how you drive retail. Is
Yeah.
you bring in career level jobs, and retail will follow. Right now, we almost have it backwards.
Yeah.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
we just talked about this.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
have a thing where we build the homes and then we have the corporations come in and we don't build a culture. We just have pop-in
Yeah.
shops.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
not culture.
It is not.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And it's so hard for retail to actually define a community because what happens is retail, to sell something, you got to have somebody in the store and they got to come in and buy something. But with software, we have one location, we have 25,000 clients throughout the country. People don't even have to be your customer where you live, but you can still realize all that revenue from all across the country into Palm Coast, and then it gets taxed and it comes into our base.
Yeah.
So the retail jobs, they're not going to be career-sustaining jobs for people who want to build homes and start families and such. But the real problem is that if we incentivize retail to come here, then it's not even a positive effect for Palm Coast because we're trying to say, hey, we'll give you credits for coming here and providing jobs. And what that really creates is just another culture where we have 10 Chick-fil-A's, each down. And I love Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Man, we
my
wanted
wife wanted
Chick-fil-A
me to eat
too,
it.
but it's not open on Sunday. It's crazy.
Now,
Yeah.
we
You always
mom and
wanted.
pop establishments.
No,
Right.
it's definitely like the Caribbean Treats joint.
But I
Yeah,
mean, you
same.
guys know what it's like in school now too. Think about how focused on technology our school system has become. They have a device
The
for
younger generations, period.
yes, every
Yeah.
student at FPC from K to 12 has
Yeah,
a
the
dedicated
iPad
device.
or
Yes.
whatever, yeah.
Yep. And they do the same thing in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But what they have is a citywide Wi-Fi system for these devices. So if a kid goes home and he doesn't have access to the internet at home, that device can connect to the city Wi-Fi so that that child can use the device. They're effectively
that's
eliminating
huge.
the digital divide. It's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because if you look at rates of graduation for high school and college for kids who grow up in a home that doesn't have access to the internet, it's incredibly.
Well, they're behind. It's period.
Yes.
Like they're
That
behind
makes
by
sense.
2-3
Especially
years.
since in schools they're making you need it now.
Yeah, definitely. Or you just have kids that are going home where their parents are allowing them to use the internet and go on YouTube and all these different other things or have social networks, you know, you have a kid that doesn't have a social network today, and they come into school. I mean, you're gonna have kids making fun of them, being like, "Dude, you don't have a freaking Facebook," and it's like, whoa, you know, but that's just where we're at.
And they can't think about what you got on your iPad now. You used to have a room of Encyclopedia Britannicas to try to figure out stuff, and now we have a phone.
I remember going through those things.
Yeah, you remember trying to find the letter? It's like, okay, EL, and they
Mm-hmm.
define it, and you'd be flipping through the book, but now it's at our fingertips.
Yeah.
And if a kid goes home and he can't explore,
And that was limited information even at the time.
yes, it was all outdated. By the time
Yeah.
he bought the $2,000 Britannica set, it was already old.
Yeah.
But those kids who don't have access to internet at home, but they have the devices, are so limited because we're giving them 99% of the opportunity with this device, and then you go home and you don't have access to the internet. What do you do with a laptop that doesn't have the internet?
Nothing. You
Nothing.
can't do
It's
anything.
useless.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
You have a typewriter with a nice screen.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it.
And that's a sad thing that happens today, but that's how we can actually make generational changes to try to improve, our future.
So they've done this with this what is it, the fiber optics in here
Yes.
in Flagler County a couple
Yep.
years back, but since then they've not really done anything with it.
So
I mean, they've done a few things I think with it because the kids do have the iPads and things like that. But
so since we weren't allowed to sell it to residents and businesses, what we did is we wired all of our city buildings together, and the hospital and the Flagler school system. So we provide our own internet solution for those facilities. We save $150,000 a year because we don't have to pay a third-party ISP. So this $2.5 million investment has almost already paid for itself with our savings that we have today,
Nice.
which is an incredible. It's like a model that we have already proven works because data is the future utility that everybody's going to rely on.
Right.
If we look at anything in life that's becoming higher definition or more technology based, it's going to be relied on bandwidth, essentially internet access. You can't download 1080p videos without having good access. Imagine when we're trying to 3D model, lungs that are being created inside of a medical facility and you're on dial-up.
yeah, no, for
Mhm.
sure.
Mm.
Interesting.
Most definitely.
We're at 77 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my last topic. Just a quick question. Do you believe in aliens?
Absolutely, Ancient Aliens. That's a great TV show.
Love it. Yes, that's my show, man.
Yes, I
That's why I voted for you.
fantastic. If you have about 8,000 more alien friends that could come vote for me, that would be fantastic too.
I think I do. All my followers are crazy.
Nice, excellent. Hopefully it racks up there. But again, City Council is a very important race. We have the mayor and 2 city council seats up, but what's really important is that we get everybody out there to vote.
Right.
So 10 a.m.
Yeah.
to 6 p.m. at the library community
Since we're
center.
about to close this out, man, give us your pitch, man. Let everybody know what's up, dude.
Nick Klufas for City Council. I'm trying to align Palm Coast with Flagler County for a more technology-based future to bring the careers that are going to sustain our future generations of Palm Coast.
That's what's up, man. EJ, you got any last words?
Oh man, that was great. You know,
Yeah,
it's
thank you
always,
guys
it's
for
always
having
good to
me.
have
Oh,
you.
yeah,
Have you
absolutely.
through,
Much
you know?
appreciated.
We'll have to do
Man,
that
good stuff,
again
bro.
and this and
Absolutely.
that. You know,
For sure.
once you get
Ronnie?
elected up and stuff, we should bring you back in.
Heck
You
yeah.
get in there, do a few things, see how it really is once
Victory
you're
party.
in there. Yeah, definitely a little
Most
victory
definitely.
party.
Ronnie, anything to say?
I like to say that this is the man for the job, the youthful vision, the technological savvy, the great spirit, and we need change up there. I'm very familiar with all of the councilmen, familiar with the mayor that is now stepping down, and yeah, we need technology. Technology is the way. If you don't embrace technology, then you pretty much are obsolete. So
Most
we definitely need somebody with not only with the understanding of technology, but with the knowledge.
The plan, the vision.
Exactly. So give my guy a look. District 3.
Tell them get out there and vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Most definitely. Get out and vote, man. Especially early voting, man. Come on, man. We're the youth. We need to do it because one day we are going to be the better. And this whole podcast that we're trying to get started, we want to bring people in because we want to join together the youth and the community. Not even the youth, just our youth is now in our 20s and 30s now. And we just need to get everybody together positively. We got a problem, black, white, Asian, Mexican, whatever. Let's talk about it on a podcast so everybody can see it. And, I just want to close this out by saying something that's been on my mind a lot is rest in peace to my boy Vincent Pacifico. This one's for you. This is our first podcast. And I love you, man. I haven't been saying much on Facebook, but this is really hard time, man. I love you, dude. We played football together, known each other for a long time, dude. You know, basically just everybody, life is short. Just do what you love. I love seeing everybody do positive stuff out there. And we're really trying to just do positive things for the community
And work hard.
you know, and Vinny, this is for you, man. I love you. Everybody, peace out, yo.
Peace.